Hey everybody, it's April 19th, Tuesday night, the night after, or the night of Conor McGregor announcing his retirement from fighting on Twitter, and the UFC announcing that they're pulling him from UFC 200. My name is Edward Carbajal. You can follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. This is a Carbazel MMA podcast. We'll get to it quickly, get through this quickly. I know it's been a while since I talked to you guys. I've been very busy. I'm contributing to a new website called frontproofmedia.com, and I actually just posted an article there about what's going on with UFC 200 and Conor McGregor. It seems like there's a beef going on between McGregor and the UFC. Whether or not it's between him and Dana White, who knows? Nobody really knows other than them two, but fact of the matter is, he's off UFC 200. UFC is actively looking for a replacement. The other bouts that are booked are still going ahead. But early this afternoon, I'm on the East Coast, so I want to say 3 o'clock-ish my time is when the announcement came that McGregor said he was no longer going to be fighting. He wanted to retire young. The exact quote is in the article at frontproofmedia.com. And then in the evening, around 6 o'clock my time, East Coast time, SportsCenter had Dana White on, where he announced that McGregor was being pulled from UFC 200, saying that he didn't want to do any media obligations, so that fight is off. Nate Diaz doesn't seem too bothered by it. I don't think much bothers Nate Diaz. But to the point of the media thing, actually, Nate Diaz did some media rounds a while back talking about how that's stressful for a fighter, and it really bothers him to have to go through that. But, I mean, that's how fights are sold, and that's part of the business of MMA now, especially for someone that likes talking so much like him to refuse to talk, him being Conor McGregor. To refuse to talk it's really I really don't know what to make of it. Whether or not he has other things going on in his life, I mean, that's up to him. We got to respect his privacy and his decision. However, if the media thing is the real reason that they pulled, I mean, it's the real reason, that's what they're saying the reason is, so yes, that is a real reason. But if the media obligation, I actually kind of agree with them pulling him for that reason, only because when the UFC 200 main event was announced that it'd be a rematch for Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor again, McGregor lost to an out-of-shape, unprepared Nate Diaz no fight camp. So everyone is on the same page. I think it's safe for me to say that a prepared Nate Diaz is probably going to do him in far worse than what happened the last time they fought. Now, Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta brought that to his attention, and he still was adamant about wanting a rematch. He said it was quoted as saying he was obsessed about it, so they're giving it to him. So if you're going to make me give you something, and part of the something requires you to do media to help sell it to people that are already not wanting to buy it, and then you refuse to do the media, I kind of have to side with Dana White on this, just because, I mean, it was already a hard sell. It was already a hard fight to sell. So why are you going to do that? Why are you going to refuse to sell yourself, your reasoning for this fight and this rematch, when everyone already has you beat because of the way you lost the first time? So, I mean, that's a solid reason to pull him from the card. As far as the retirement thing goes, maybe it's more of like then I'm done fighting. I mean, the guy's made a lot of money. He's made more money than anyone else has ever made in mixed martial arts. Um, so he could definitely retire, and I guess he'll be all right. I mean, he's 27 years old. Even if he retires and sits out 2 years, he can still come back and sell a few more fights. I'm sure his marketability is not going to die anytime soon. He's got so many fans in Ireland. He's got a lot of fans here in the U.S. I mean, there's people that even the people I talk to don't see UFC 200, him and Diaz again going well. I think it makes a lot of sense for what I believe to would have happened, be the case. But either way, I mean, there's still people that are hardcore Conor McGregor fans and see him winning. Anything can happen in a fight, so you can't blame them for that. I can't blame him for wanting the rematch, and but I can blame him for not wanting to do the media obligations for a fight, for any fight, any fighter. That's that's been coming up a lot lately as fighters not selling themselves. He's been selling himself so much that he's created a title shot for himself, got himself a title, and he should be defending that title in my opinion. But either way, this is just madness. If you're not going to try to sell the fight that you demanded happen when you have a title sitting waiting to be defended with another well-deserved fighter. And the business of fighting, yes, fighting is your job, but I mean, part of that job is you selling yourself and the fight. So how can you? I really don't see refusing to do media to be a smart move on the part of Conor McGregor. So whatever's going on in his life, if it's something personal that he doesn't want exposed, then I hope it's nothing bad. But either way, if it's the refusal, you're refusing to do your job. So that's where I'm at with that. Either way, UFC 200, it's the end of International Fight Week, and I'm already ready to be there. If you guys listen to the podcast, I was there last year. Me and Christine were there. She was on the last episode of this podcast. Lots of stuff been happening since the last time I talked to you guys. So I'm really sorry about being away for so long. But again, I'm contributing and adding a lot of MMA content over at frontproofmedia.com. I'm still at page2sports.com as well. I'm actually going on behalf of both sites to Bellator 153 this weekend, which has Benson Henderson's first fight in the new promotion at Bellator MMA. He's fighting Andrei Koreshkov. I actually haven't seen Koreshkov fight in a while. That man is pretty lethal on his feet. He's a thin person. They're fighting at 170 for the welterweight title, and Koreshkov's a hard hitter, but I have a feeling that Benson Henderson's mobility and experience is going to be a problem for him, so I wouldn't be surprised if Henderson wins the title this weekend at Bellator 153. I'm actually going there to cover that at the Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut, so make sure if you're following me on the social media, you catch me and my little tweets about the stuff that happens on my little journey there. I think you'll find it amusing. Oh, I'm on Snapchat too. It's the same. You can find me on Snapchat, but Twitter is definitely your best source to find all the articles I publish at the sites and all that. So keep it short this week. I've been away, and I know a lot's been going on, but there's so many. Like I said, I've just been busy with the new work and the new site, and this podcast is also now featured on Google Play. I got that email yesterday, so if you guys don't find it hard to listen to on social media, I always upload through Spreaker, and you can always check it out there. But Spreaker and Google Play and SoundCloud It backs up on YouTube as well, so you can always catch his podcast. You got a lot of options out there. Anyway, I think that's it for now. I just had to jump on because, oh, wait a minute. What am I talking about? That's not it. The MMA in New York. That's what I've been trying to do this whole time since I've been away from you guys. Finally, March 22nd, the MMA ban in New York got lifted. And then last week, Governor Cuomo signed the bill approving MMA to take place in the state of New York. UFC booked their first date in the Garden, and there's rumor that they're trying to get in Yankee Stadium for 2017 as well, which is funny because when I was so excited about the news, I tweeted Yankee Stadium and my voice cracked. It's real humid and dusty where I'm at, so sorry. But they retweeted the article, and so I asked them on Twitter, can you guys fit an octagon in your in the middle of the baseball stadium there? And of course they didn't respond. But then this week that article shot out, I think it was through Fox Sports. They snuck out that Lorenzo Fertitta was talking to Yankee Stadium about holding an event there. That would be pretty cool to have a. I mean, they should have fights. They should have MMA events everywhere in New York, considering how long the ban was in place. So that not only would it be cool just to have another option to jump on a train and get to a fight legally, but the Yankee Stadium's pretty historic too, just for the sports association. But obviously, Madison Square Garden is the place to have an event that everyone's looking forward to. Frankie Edgar wants to be there. It was hopeful that Frankie Edgar would be fighting Conor McGregor at UFC 205 in Madison Square Garden November 12th, 2016. But now that he's retiring or getting fired or whatever you want to call it, that's just me speculating. I guess he'll be fighting someone, because he's fighting Jose Aldo. They're not changing that bout. It should just be for the regular title now, because McGregor's pretty much walking away from it. See, it's hard to get away from this whole UFC 200 McGregor thing. That event is supposed to be like the thing that brings it all together, you know, it's like the Super Bowl of MMA from the top promotion, you know, and I don't know. It seems to be all falling apart. If Dana White had hair, he'd probably be pulling it out. I actually feel bad for the guy, though. You know, he tried to go along with the plan, but something tells me he had to pull back Conor McGregor's reins a little bit and say, "Hey, listen, you're falling in love with your hype too much, and you know this thing about you running the company and you run this. It's me that actually runs this, Conor." And he probably had to let him know, all right, well, now you're pulled. And rather than be fired, he got retired. It was one of those things, oh, you can't fire me, I quit. I don't know. That's how I see it happening. So, anyway, with the new website that I mentioned, frontproofmedia.com, they a lot of good forward-thinking people there, a lot of boxing fans there. So if you're a boxing fan, please check them out. They've actually all agreed to come up on the podcast when time allows. They're on the same time zone as me. And Daniel Zaldivar, who has been on this podcast, is also contributing there too. It's a new site. It looks really cool. They're based out of Florida. The founder is actually a former boxer himself. So it's good when you get the inside take from people that know what it's like to get beat up a little bit. But anyway, I just wanted to keep this short. Hooray for MMA in New York. Thumbs down to Conor McGregor for ruining UFC 200. That won't stop me from being there, though. So I'm going for sure. I'll keep you guys posted as to what happens when the UFC, or you just go to UFC's website. Why would you listen to me? Anyway, but follow them to find out what they're going to do for a main event now. I mean, are they going to do what they did last weekend and just bump everyone up? It'd be nice to have a title match as a main event. I know that doesn't always have to be the case, but why not have Miesha Tate and Amanda Nunes and Frankie Edgar and Jose Aldo? That's perfectly fine. You know, I don't know. As I'm talking, I'm just thinking maybe somebody had to calm Conor McGregor down, and he didn't like the sound of it. I don't blame him for wanting the rematch with Nate Diaz. You know, like, he lost. Most people that lose want their chance to avenge the loss. I always joking around with the guys in the combat sports websites, the guys I work with. I always call it video game rules. You know, like when you play Tekken or Street Fighter, it's best 2 out of 3. So best 2 out of 3. You beat me twice, then there doesn't have to be a third. You're the better man. I mean, look at Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Wanderlei Silva, Kazushi Sakuraba. There's tons of other ones we can mention. I'm just drawing a blank. My mind's been all over the place because of this, but yeah. So don't not go to UFC 200 just because of one event. There's 3 fights happening in that whole week. It's International Fight Week. If ever you wanted to rub elbows with MMA legends and stuff like that, I mean, that's reason enough to go. But you're going to have the Ultimate Fighter finale. I sound like when Keenan Thompson imitates that guy, the baseball player on Saturday Night. You could have Mofongo. You're going to have the Ultimate Fighter finale. You're going to have a Fight Pass fight with Eddie Alvarez and Rafael Dos Anjos. You're going to have UFC 200. So it's all good. It's all good. I'm not happy. I love the sport no matter what. It's crazy, unpredictable. How could you not love the sport? So with that, I'll let you guys go. Again, I don't want to talk your ear off. Please support the site and the websites that I'm working for by visiting them. You can support this podcast by visiting my own personal website, theblogboardjungle.com. And if you want to buy any Onnit products or stuff from Amazon, if you go there and click on any of the links, you'll get what you need and help me out without even knowing it. And it won't cost you a thing. You'll still get what you want. So that's it. Thanks for listening. I will see you next week. You know what? I'm not going to see you next week because this is all audio. So I will talk at you next week. And hopefully I'll have some of the guys from Front Proof Media on, or Daniel Zaldivar back on, or my lovely Christine back on, because she actually had fun doing it when we were talking about the first time Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor fought, but she didn't want to hear her own voice, she has an awesome voice if you guys listen to it. So go back and listen to it so she knows she has an awesome voice. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, you can hit me on Twitter at Carbazel, or at the website, my website's Twitter handle at bboardjungle. It's b_boardjungle. Or even tag me and tweet at Front Proof Media, and we can get everyone else involved when we get together and collaborate there. I don't know if it'll be this podcast, but it'll be something, and you guys will like it. So, all right. Take care, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Sorry if your summer's ruined because Conor McGregor is not fighting anymore. But there's plenty of other fighters out there, folks. So don't give up on MMA just yet. It's legal in New York now. So.